2 3-0s.
Yeah, it'd be hilarious if FanTaSy is like, man, proxying's really good tonight. Let's get it going.
All right, here we are, though, spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map. He demolished Bunny. It's FanTaSy.
And in the bottom left, he 3-0'd MC. It's the red Zerg player, SortOf.
Yes, who is the better 3-0er is the question.
Well, I mean, just based on how long it took them, obviously FanTaSy, but...
Ah, yeah,
See?
maybe, you never know.
Just fast. It's like the Olympics. Fastest time wins. You don't get style points for this. It's just speed.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to have a rematch, FanTaSy versus Bunny, another series on a different day and see how that goes. But no, this should be a great finals. For those of you that are unaware, if you've followed Afreeca World for a while now, you'd have known that SortOf and FanTaSy have played at least twice. I remember off the top of my head, FanTaSy took the first one when he recently returned to pro gaming, and then SortOf took the second one.
And once again, I like the Overlord scouting. I feel like Zerg players do a good job with it, making sure that they scout the general locations where proxies can come up. But man, once in a while you miss it, and then it's just suddenly there's a bunker at your front door and 6 Marines, and it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, I guess that's a risk you take, though. I mean, if SortOf watched that last series, he may actually be on guard for that.
He may be, but I mean, like I said, he's not doing anything different than he normally would be. He's got the one heading out and the other one kind of checking the general area where they could be. And he's getting some really good coverage. You can see how much the Overlords have scouted so far. So that's fantastic by him. But I mean, there's always times you can miss a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like... Oh, I love this, by the way. FanTaSy parking his SCV at a potential third location.
That is really good, because usually the third base comes up sooner than there's any Queen or Ling support. Although it doesn't look like SortOf's even really trying. I don't see a drone moving over to go for that third base yet.
Yeah, not yet. FanTaSy, yeah, he sees that, sends his SCV home. Reaper poking and prodding. May get a Ling, not quite. Good control by SortOf so far. Oh, there goes one Ling.
You jinxed him.
I did. FanTaSy draws first blood, pardon me. Although that's usually the case, you know, in TvZ, the Zerg doesn't have as many opportunities to do that.
No. In the rare cases where the Reaper dies, it's because attention was lost for just a minute and it gets surrounded, but that's pretty rare. Alright, so Hellion harassment here from FanTaSy. Your follow-up, nothing too weird here. Your starport coming up next. Would not be surprised to see that being a Banshee, potentially with Cloak, but probably getting ahead of myself right there.
Or...
So third base is... Liberator?
Could be a battle cruiser.
It could be. Who did I cast today? Somebody went battle cruiser. It was Sol. Sol went battle cruiser against Namshar, and actually used it in a defensive capability against a Roach Ravager attack and absolutely destroyed it. And then Namshar just tapped out.
Yeah, BCs are pretty good at shutting down that aggression.
Yeah.
And the best part is, like, even if the Zerg brings queens, it's like, so what? I got a battle cruiser.
Yep. Yeah, I need a lot of queens to really stand with it. Queens trade well, but battle cruisers have so much HP. Are you freaking kidding me? You're a genius, LaughNgamez. A genius, I tell ya.
Oh, I try. But there's that Roach Warren on the way for SortOf, but as you said, if SortOf tried to do what Namshar did, he'd probably just die because the BCs just shut it down.
Yeah, they can dodge corrosive biles pretty well. You can repair the BCs, especially in a defensive capability. Roaches are just helpless in that situation.
SortOf's Overlord scouts have been on point, though, as far as sending him in at the right time and right place. He sees the fusion core.
He does?
Yeah, he does. He sent one in and he saw it.
Nice. Great job. Great job by you, SortOf. So quickly getting a lair up, getting his evolution chamber up. Droning a little bit here too, kind of just mixing in a little bit of everything in response to this. Battle cruisers do take a while to build, so if you know it's coming, you have some time before you really have to respond to it. Getting
Yeah, the
+1
question is,
ground.
how do you respond to it, though? Lots of queens and...
And spores, yeah. Spores actually trade pretty well, too.
They
They're
do.
cheap. Like, equal cost spore versus battlecruiser will die.
That is
Especially
very
if the
true.
BC doesn't have any repair, and an offensive capability, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Now, half the time when a Zerg dies, or maybe even more than half the time, I'm kind of pulling that one out of the blue. It's usually the Hellions that are what does the Zergin. The Zerg's so busy scrambling to deal with the battle cruisers, and the Terran says la-di-da-di-da, Hellions in your mineral line, you have no drones.
There's your BC. Yamato cannon on, the Queen one-shots her. Spore Crawler doing some stuff, forcing a cancel on that extractor. Dude, he could maybe take down the spawning pool, maybe. Look at this cancel and remake from SortOf, though. That's really good stuff. Consistent work, and yeah, you know what's going to deal with it? 5 queens are going to do just fine against that BC.
Yeah, a lot of transfuse, and it already used its Yamato cannon. So it does get sent packing, and since he did fly it in, he has to be careful not to overcommit, otherwise since he can't just teleport out. Overlord goes down. Nice pick off there. The battle cruisers do just as good of a job as Vikings and whatnot. And now we're seeing a Spire on the way. Wait, that is an interesting Spire placement for SortOf.
Yeah.
That is not a Spore Crawler.
It is not. I wonder if he's hoping that a scan will make FanTaSy think it's just another spore.
Until it finishes?
Yeah.
Oh.
Then he's like, wait,
what are the odds, do you think? He just scanned.
I don't know. I think he's too good. I think he looked at that and said, that is not a spore.
Maybe.
That's a Spire.
But, like, that is so mind-gamey.
I like it. I'm going to start doing that. Alright, so 1 queen down with the Yamato, another queen down with Crawler taking shots before it burrows on in there, and really just being super annoying with this. Meanwhile, SortOf is counterattacking up the other side of the map there. As drones are getting killed, roaches, are they seriously going home? Why are you going home?
Yeah, the BCs can just teleport across, though, so...
Didn't they teleport there in the first place, though?
Oh, they must
I think
have.
they have to slow walk it. Yep. They're slow walking it. The Roach is doing some pretty good work at the third base of FanTaSy. Really only Hellions there to defend. A lot of SCVs going down here, too. That was a good grenade. And now the BC is here. Now the Roaches need to get the heck on out.
FanTaSy has to be careful, though, because there's 7 Corruptors on the way. And sometimes we see these Terrans commit so hard to, say, just like Hellions and tanks and then the 1 or 2 BCs that a large group of Corruptors will just fly on in, say, pick off a command center, something like that. And we did see 12 SCVs go down, so SortOf got a bit of damage for that attack.
Yeah, I mean, Corruptors are a pretty good answer here, assuming you can get the BCs before they can teleport away. Because, man, nothing's more frustrating than, like, just absolutely diving on top of a couple of BCs, bring them down to 10% health, and then they escape and repair. It's like, come on!
Yeah, that's the beauty of the battle cruiser.
Yeah, that teleport's amazing. Amazing stuff. And then really just adding the ability to fire while moving. It's a small thing, but it really helps their DPS overall. Also, we're getting Maglev Accelerator here from FanTaSy, making Cyclones even better.
Yeah, that's interesting. Cyclones are very good at shutting down Corruptors. So that could be a good portion of his anti-air since he's not making Thors or anything else. So 1 or 2 Cyclones with Magfield Accelerator, they do really chew through Corruptors. Hellions get on in towards the third base. Not going to get too much, though. Gets 5 drones in total.
Ow. Ow. A lot of Hellions getting traded for that, though. He needs those Hellions. And he's not doing a great job keeping them alive.
More,
another good little barbecue here. That Infernal Pre-Igniter is really, really important stuff. Queens can only help so much against that number of Hellion. I don't think he lost a single unit during that attack, so nice job by FanTaSy.
Yeah, so FanTaSy's meching.
Yeah, he's meching. I was going to say, I haven't seen a lot of mech on the current patch for TvZ, and I haven't seen any successful mech on the current patch for TvZ. So this is going to be interesting for FanTaSy if he can pull it off.
Yeah, definitely. He's really playing this Hellion Cyclone style, though.
Yep, there's the red laser. We've got the upgrade. It's done. Who did I see try this the other day? In a TvZ. Gosh, I'm trying to remember what I cast. Oh, it was Euthermal. Uthermal tried to mech against, I think it was, I want to say it was Raynor.
Yeah, Uthermal sometimes does bring out really new strategies. That's one of the things that really impresses me of him as a player. In fact, he
always
actually
being creative.
Yeah, we actually invited him to this tournament, but he said, "I want to hide my strategies for the GSL." So who knows what he's got cooking up?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think. Or just show up and play normal. That's fine. We'd appreciate that.
Greater Spire in the mineral line.
I wonder how much mining time is lost because those guys have to go all the way around that thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably none now that it's oversaturated, but...
True. But definitely a bigger footprint than a Spore Crawler is.
Yeah, definitely. Hellion run-bys just continuously. SortOf's got up one Spine Crawler, but I'd like to see one or two more.
Yeah, he's got 70 workers. He's making 7 more. I think he's okay. He's going to have a maxed out army here with the number of workers that he wants, and it's annoying, but it's not game-endy. Also, that right base for SortOf, whatever that's his 5th.
Oh.
Sniped down by Cyclones. Rip.
Didn't even need to see that thing die. They just melt under that many Cyclones.
Yeah, it died real fast.
But the thing is, Cyclone versus Broodlord is interesting. Like, the Cyclones are so weak, so they have to get under the Broodlords, so they will die pretty quickly.
But they do so much damage to the Broodlord, it's kind of okay.
Yeah, I think if FanTaSy maybe gets up a few more Hellions, I'd be interested in seeing, say, how, like, say 20 Hellbats or so does. Turn them into Hellbats, walk them forward, the Hydras will have to back off, the Cyclones step forward, lock onto the Broodlords. That's what I want to see. Of course, there's a bunch of Vipers in the mix, though, so that makes life a little harder. .3.3 is on the way for FanTaSy as well. Those are some pretty hefty upgrades, really going to help that mech army out. Yeah, but he still does need that answer to the Broodlords.
But right now, he's just quintuple pumping Cyclone, so apparently that's his answer. He's got 3 command centers on the way, too, right now. I mean, he's just trying to expand his face off right now.
I love it. Oh, my God, those Cyclones trying to pick off that base. The Queens would transfuse for days, though.
Maybe you know this. If you transfuse and then transfuse again while it's still doing the heal over time thing, does that overlap? Is that wasted?
It is wasted
energy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you gotta wait for the hot to finish and then transfuse again.
Otherwise, Zergs could just like pre-stack tons of transfuses. That would be interesting.
Like an immortal Ultralisk at that point, basically, with less micro. Oh, the abducts. This is what Raynor did too. He
this is why we don't see Cyclones.
That's it.
I will happily trade 50 energy or 75. Yeah, 75
for a Cyclone.
For a Cyclone.
The tanks are a bigger problem here against this Hydra style.
Yeah, there should be Broodlords to deal with that though, or some more Blinding Clouds or something.
Yeah, Blinding Clouds too. Where the heck are the Broodlords though?
This is a good question. 9 Broodlords are slowly making their way over there.
And they got scanned. So FanTaSy knows they're here. He's double pumping Vikings. He's got at least 3 starports, though. What's he doing with the other starport, dude?
Reactor. So just a lot of Vikings. And I mean,
he's got 4 starports, and 2 of them are reactor, and he's got 2 Vikings in production right now.
Yeah,
I guess he is maxed out.
Just finishing up, so
okay.
He can resume that production, but still. Best case scenario, you have a bunch of Vikings, which are not that great versus Corruptor, Viper, and Broodlord. So just the direction that FanTaSy's taking this game is interesting to me. The Cyclones are actually able to get on in here, though. Maybe able to get a base or something. Always
hey, look,
good.
A base or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Look at these drones.
Oh, no.
Where are you going? That was weird. I don't know where those guys were trying to go at all.
Oh, okay.
Meanwhile, another base going down. Dude, FanTaSy really picking at the edges here.
Yeah, SortOf's really down just to 1 mining bases. His natural is mining out pretty much, and then his main's mined out. So that was a big economic blow. So very well done by FanTaSy. Of course, SortOf's army is still very scary. But FanTaSy, if you're going to play mech, I like how he's playing mech. Like, you can't just build up to a big army and attack the Zerg. The Zerg will make a better composition to deal with what you're making. But harassing the Zerg, picking off bases like he's been doing, That's exactly how you need to play mechas. That sort of scrappy style.
Especially since they gave that speed buff to the Cyclones. They're faster, which makes them easier to do this kind of stuff.
They are,
yeah. I like it.
How are these Cyclones going to do versus those Hydras? Apparently enough to send them packing. Cleaning up creep. Always good to see.
Yeah, these creep tumors. I wonder how many have died in this game, because it's really been fairly well kept in check so far.
Yeah, he had a nice bit out in the center of the map, because, I mean, Serlin's a pretty big map, so it takes a long time to get it across, but FanTaSy's just going and undoing all that hard work.
Yeah, he's got how many bases right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got 7 bases right now.
I love it.
Me
if you're
too.
a Terran, or regardless of what race you're playing, if you've got the advantage and it's the late game, you're maxed out, throw up the extra bases. They will pay off. Say you lose a base, doesn't matter. You got 3 more. I just love to see it.
And it helps you get a huge bank that can really help in these late game situations too. And it means that's also income that the Zerg player's not getting. Dude, another hatch sniped here by FanTaSy.
Yeah.
This is looking so good.
These Broodlords are just so slow. It's the defensive Broodlords. They're not great.
No. Especially on a map where the bases are spread out so far like this. Sure, a couple tanks die, but...
Yeah. Sort of need to, like, as you're saying, they're spread out. Maybe we just need to expand to, like, this sort of center-ish base. So that way he's not just being pulled between the right and the left.
Although he is taking that far right position. Bottom right-hand corner. Really hard to defend right now.
Yeah, he's triple expanding to the right, but then his left side, it's already going to be under fire, and I'm pretty sure FanTaSy's going to be sending something to the right pretty soon. Okay,
here's an anti-armor missile and some Viking snipes ready to go for FanTaSy. That is a Broodlord hunting crew right there. Abduct, 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 abduct! That is so many abducts.
Though, but okay, enough to send this back, but still losing like a Viper or two. FanTaSy's happy to trade now. Even going to find some of these Broodlords. And that's really all that sort of has going for him. The anti-armor missile, oh, beautiful. The Viking's now going to kite for days.
Not even bothering to kite right here, just recognizing how injured, how susceptible these Corruptors are, but still doing fairly well for themselves.
Yeah.
Still maybe want to kite a little bit.
But I mean, FanTaSy, like, he's just happy trading out. He's done so much damage, but I mean, sort of. Okay, he lost the one base that he was going for with the triple expand, but so that's why we love multiple expansions, because you always got another to fall back on. So that's good for sort of. He's maxed out. His bank isn't great, but oh man, FanTaSy more super bad on the way.
Yeah, I'm really surprised FanTaSy hasn't expanded down that right side or taken that kind of middle right base. Seems like it's ripe for the picking, and sort of hasn't really been aggressive at all for the last 10 minutes or so. So it seems like it'd be pretty safe.
FanTaSy has 15 bases, 15 command centers on the map.
Oh,
that is a lot. And sort of, he's just on 5 hatcheries, as he lost another base down to the bottom. And so, like, just, yeah, it's just not looking that good for sort of. He's going to mine out, and eventually FanTaSy's going to start building up a huge bank.
And there's just nothing here for sort of. He's got 400 minerals. 400 right now. Which means his ability to remax on anything is 0. You can't remax with 400 minerals on anything at all.
I mean, another Raven on a lot of gas.
Yes, which is nice.
Sort of can make a lot of infestors, but...
Yeah, but infestors are a support unit. If his army gets wiped out, he can't remax on infestor and be okay. Oh, another base down.
Yep, rest in peace. Like, and it dies too. That's 300 minerals gone. Oh, and all these Hydras. Uh-oh. They catch the tanks, which is a nice find. But these Cyclones are coming on and they're locking on. Another base just went down. The Cyclones are all going to die, and that's pretty expensive.
They're backed into a corner here. Battlecruiser shows up, man.
And then here comes in all the Vikings. He's sort of just dead.
Well, one BC down, and the other one chasing away. Interference Matrix on one of those Vipers. I don't know. That bottom right-hand base, FanTaSy does not know it exists.
Oh, no.
So that's really nice.
Died. How many bases have died and been canceled? Well,
that one. Oh, yeah, that one did get scattered now. It's on fire.
This is just... Yeah, I mean, like, sort of... think he's just been falling apart. Like, his bank has stayed the same. He's actually lost supply. FanTaSy's just been harassing, scanning, trading out. And how many Vikings is there? 26. I mean, 1 or 2 nasty parasitic bombs and all these Vikings can go away, but still, FanTaSy would still be fine with his vast income. Like, SortOf is in a very, very rough situation here. There's no doubt about it.
Even getting the servos upgrade,
Which,
is, I mean, Hellions can do that. Does he have anything else that can take advantage of that? I don't think so.
The Vikings.
Ah, yes, the Vikings land real fast.
Yeah, they drop like stones.
I don't know if he wants to land them necessarily, at least until the Broodlords are taken care of.
Yeah, but the income, the income.
Yeah.
FanTaSy at 5,000 minerals income for a second. That's a lot of mules.
1.5 here for SortOf.
Yeah, and the base dies again. It's just
a lot of dead hatcheries.
It is so many dead hatcheries. SortOf's probably pretty frustrated at this point. It's just trying to put out fires.
He hasn't pushed on FanTaSy in any meaningful way in what feels like 10 minutes.
No, yeah. And I mean, that's what the Broodlords are good for. Yeah, they're good defensively versus like a timing attack, but FanTaSy's just pulling him apart. Look at this. He's even expanding to like so close. The Broodlords will shut down this base, but FanTaSy has pretty much every other base. Because this space, I believe, is on SortOf's side of the map now, technically. If they evenly split the map, FanTaSy has now taken every single base on his side. And the bank tells a story.
Man, I mean, 1 million Hellions have died, but I don't think FanTaSy cares at this point in the game.
No, I don't think he does. A parasitic bomb goes down. That's pretty decent, but the Viking lands.
Thereby ridding himself of the parasitic bomb. Such a cool maneuver. I like it.
It is, yeah. I'm a little sad that bug's no longer in the game, which allowed you just to dodge it.
Yeah.
It was patched by the time I figured out about it, and I was like, oh no.
It was really hard to do, but it was pretty cool. Man, that
SortOf's
bank
trying
for
to
FanTaSy
re-expand here for the 20th time.
Feels like it. About that. I mean, there are so many minerals left on that base, and that is traditionally a 3rd or a 4th base, and we're 22 minutes in, and it still has so many resources on it. That just tells you how many times
base
it
up
died.
Here, which I definitely like because it helps to, like, if you're defending that base, the Terran can't really get to this base on the left. If SortOf had focused more on one location for starters, I think he would have been in a much better situation. And I mean, he's still building up a bank, and when you've got spellcasters with full energy, you can never give up. But, Oh, look at this, a nice Hydra attack. SCVs need to repair that planetary, but they are not doing that. So, SortOf with his Hydras picks off a base, getting some damage done for starters. And oh, yeah, here's a nice engagement for SortOf. Actually, actually a beautiful one. Catches a good number of Vikings.
And snipes a Raven there too as it pulls away. So, just little victories here for SortOf, taking down bases, taking down Ravens, big ticket items, getting rid of some. Wow, Neural Parasite on a Cyclone?
Wow.
Holy smokes.
Oh my god, on multiple Cyclones.
Wow, I like that. I like that a lot. And then just killing them when their utility's there.
FanTaSy.
Oh, the chain fungals here. Corruptors
Yeah, that
diving on in, trying to split out.
Beautifully done by SortOf, good control. And this is why he never just left this game. This is because he has this good army. And now he's able to push with the Broodlords.
Yep, army supply 129 to 87 in favor of SortOf right now. Ghosts in production from FanTaSy, though. Some good steady targetings on those Broodlords will make them die real fast, but the fungals are fantastic in that situation, too.
18 infestors are out for SortOf.
It's a lot of infestor. EMP possibly could be an answer versus these infestors, too.
Yeah, definitely. FanTaSy scans, we may even start seeing nukes, but look at this. Cyclones coming in once again. This base is not meant to happen. Although maybe SortOf can save it. Oh, look at that. Mirror's another Cyclone. This base stays alive. Nicely done by SortOf. I mean, he's turning this around.
Oh, and there's a parasitic bomb. If you want to hear Terran fans get upset, have them parasitic bomb, caustic spray. Have them watch some caustic spray. Woo! All right, so that base is out, and suddenly FanTaSy's income is much more close to where SortOf's was, or is right now, and that's not good for FanTaSy.
Yeah, I mean, the Zerg army, in my opinion, it trades better than that of a Terran army, so FanTaSy with this big economy lead. I mean, if SortOf stays alive, builds up his own bank, then as the game goes on, SortOf can keep using these high-efficiency spellcasters to keep taking good trades, of course. The amount of resources that SortOf must have lost in hatcheries alone, oh my...
Hey, we get nukes!
Hey.
I've always wanted nukes.
Oh.
Oh, at least that one got
dead.
canceled. That's nice.
This base is attempting to be reestablished. The Cyclones do back off, though. I mean, both these players are maxed out, so a big fight here and there can completely change things. FanTaSy's bank is not that impressive. He's still got a good number of bases up, although he's lost one or two.
Yeah, he's been spending his money really well.
Ooh.
Obviously losing a ton there. Ooh, good fungal. Almost lost an infestor there, but not quite. FanTaSy's going, like you hovered over this earlier, but +2/+2 is finishing up here. I wonder if he transfers to like a bio play. How many barracks does he even have, really? 5?
I think he's got a few. He hasn't started stim or anything just like that yet. So the
just for
upgrades
the
are
ghosts.
mainly for the ghosts, yeah, which are all cloaking now. Oh my gosh, they're looking for all these infestors. Oh my god, SortOf is in trouble.
Where's the detection?
EMP's going down, snipes blanketing this army. Fungals do go down though, ghosts getting caught. Oh,
Okay.
and all these ghosts are in trouble. They are forced to retreat under a fungal.
Survive. I think maybe 2 or 3 died. Not a huge deal.
Here's that
now
big
coming
engagement going down though. Anti-armor missile being dropped, snipes going down for days.
I mean, most of the infestors not really able to do much, but it doesn't matter. There's still enough broodlords here, still enough hydralisks and corruptors that FanTaSy is forced to pull back to the high ground. Take out his aggression on a couple of those hydralisks.
If FanTaSy perhaps, I mean, he let SortOf know that the ghosts were there by dropping the EMP. If he maybe just targeted up a bunch of snipes and then ran away, maybe that could have gone better for him. A nuke now being dropped to cover this location. Possibly the first of many nukes, but these hydras could all be in trouble as FanTaSy stepping forward with his ghosts, with his cyclones. Oh, fantastic fungal going down. A lot of ghosts taking a beating. That's actually so many ghosts just died.
Ow. Yeah, that's not a good thing. FanTaSy suddenly down to 156 supply.
Look at the resources lost. That's the main thing. Like, as this game goes on, this is better and better for SortOf. FanTaSy losing ghosts. Not getting as efficient trades. I mean, SortOf is broken. He can't even remax. FanTaSy has spent so much gas that he can't really build the units he wants to, despite having a mineral bank. But here he goes once again. A lot of cyclones coming on in, setting their sights on a base.
My goodness, another hatchery down. 3 drones here too. I mean, it's not like a fully saturated base or anything, but that counts. A couple hydras popping out, wrong place, wrong time, get sniped. One does manage to escape there, but more ghosts on the way.
FanTaSy probably going to want to get this base in the bottom right too, seeing as how he has a planetary or a command center ready to land there. Oh, and he locks on. Picking off a fair few hydras, but SortOf keeps the base alive. What a crazy game.
I love infested Terrans that pop and have nothing to do, literally. They just like stand there for a while and then die.
Oh, look at this ghost. FanTaSy
Nuke,
sends a ghost out, but I think realizes he has no nuke. Starts a nuke. And then imagine once that's done, he'll nuke. But this is interesting, the choice to keep building cyclones out of FanTaSy, as opposed to teching into something like battle cruisers or anything else like that.
Infestor's showing up a little bit late to the game. That's okay. Nuke just about done here.
Do we see it?
Come on. How much energy is on that ghost? I worry about him staying cloaked long enough to get it off.
37? So he's got plenty of energy, I think. But, oh, the ghost getting caught for FanTaSy once again.
And there's the nuke.
But, oh, the resources lost for FanTaSy just... He has made 17, or he has lost 17 ghosts this game. And
He's gonna
ghosts
get
are
a nuke.
expensive.
Left, there it is. Nice. I mean, 2 drones died. And a spine crawler, but whatever. It was pretty. Another hatchery down. FanTaSy's play here is kill as many hatcheries as possible and then run.
Yeah, just like FanTaSy's playing less efficient than SortOf. I mean, I think Zerg has the most efficient late game, a more efficient late game compared to Terran with the Vipers, with the Infestors, but FanTaSy just making Cyclones and Hellions and throwing them at his opponent. Like, if you asked me 15 minutes ago, I would have said that FanTaSy has this game in the bag, but just the choice that has allowed SortOf to build up to this army, I don't know, like, now I don't think it would be a good choice, but maybe in the past if he had gone up to something like even battle cruisers, dare I say?
Maybe.
Because, like, yeah, but now SortOf has all the tools to deal with pretty much anything. That's the concern. I mean, how many Infestors are we at? 18 still. Oh, here comes all the ghosts, though. Ah, they fire off one shot. That could be all the alert that SortOf needs. Snipe's going down, picks off 1 or 2, but 4 ghosts are going to die. Okay, 3 died.
Oh, the ghost coming in again, though. Oh, catching another
down, but all these ghosts are dying.
Oh, all the neural parasites on these cyclones. So weird. I like it.
Yeah, just so many ghosts die just for 1 or 2 snipes or 1 or 2 EMPs. That's like 1,000 resources just getting thrown away, and FanTaSy no longer has a bank.
Ton of gas.
Oh, man,
ton of gas on those ghosts. So he's going to be right on minerals here real quick. As SortOf has expanded up that top left-hand way. Very, very close to FanTaSy's top left-hand base. I think FanTaSy wanted it and SortOf got there first.
I want to make a PSA to all old players. You can only have 8 mules on a base. That was changed in Legacy of the Void. More Infestors on the way for SortOf, but I mean, oh, that base just got annihilated. Oh wow, I did not see that happen.
That's a lot of dead mule. It's a lot of energy.
I mean, at least it's money that SortOf isn't getting, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, yeah. If every base on the map is going to get taken, then the more money you have, the less money your opponent has.
Still, look at the efficiency, though. FanTaSy just keeps losing more and more resources as this goes on. Some Infestors are dying, but Neural Parasite taking over these Cyclones. Cyclones fighting other Cyclones. I mean, the Cyclones I don't think are trading too bad as they picked off a fair few Infestors there, but the resources lost. FanTaSy was like 3k behind 10 minutes ago, then 5k, and now he is 11k behind just from throwing away these resources, and SortOf is winning this game at this point, I think.
Stack defense coming up. Not sure how much that's going to help necessarily.
Ooh.
Hey,
not going to help
go.
versus that nuke.
Nuclear launch detected.
Skirmish going down. Hellions picking off some Lings. SortOf is pretty short on gas. Ooh, lots of snipes going down. Ooh, they actually get canceled though, not quite in time. I mean, snipes definitely work versus Hydralisks, because the Hydras are usually in smaller numbers, because they haven't been getting much done versus the Infestors. FanTaSy has been running them in and then they've just died.
They're not cheap either. Broodlords do manage to find that whatever 10th base or so that FanTaSy has. I'm seeing bases that FanTaSy has taken inside SortOf's territory. Lift. I like this. I like using the Broodlords in an offensive capability here. Get up there, take down some bases, get rid of some refineries, kill some SCVs. At least slow down FanTaSy's economy a little bit, because right now he's kind of been unopposed for most of the game.
Yeah, he has. That's how he had this huge lead earlier on.
Nuke's gonna kill
down.
nothing. Maybe a tree. Sorry, tree. Actually, no, the tree's fine. Never mind. Good job, tree. Nuke proof.
I mean, the bushes and stuff on some maps die when the creep touches it.
Uh-huh. And sometimes trees burn, too, if they get caught by something with fire.
Oh, okay.
Not these ones, though.
They're asbestos trees. Okay. +1 on the way for SortOf at 36 minutes into the game. We had some quick 3-0s. These guys are correcting for that. Oh, there goes ghosts. How many are going to die this time? 5 or 6 ghosts die. FanTaSy stepping forward. More ghosts for an EMP or 2 on some infestors. I'm just not a fan of this. Like, one ghost gets as many EMPs off, as many EMPs as you need, so just run one forward, I think. But,
yeah, I agree.
I think SortOf may finally have given up trying to take this base on the right, as it only has 70 gas or so.
Yeah, not worth retaking at this point.
So he has found a method to stop FanTaSy from killing that base.
The only winning move is not to play.
I mean, FanTaSy with a serious ghost count. It's just when you step sort of away from any static defense, away from any of your own positioning with the ghosts, you're just going to get fungled. You're going to get caught out by a quick move from the Zerg. Lots of scans still going down. I mean, ooh, FanTaSy taking this base here. If we see a bunch of mules drop on here, that would be awesome to see.
That's what I'm talking about. These are bases that should be SortOf's, but FanTaSy is taking them. And it just gives FanTaSy such an advantage to be able to lose more than SortOf does and still win because he just got more resources overall.
I would like to see the mules being dropped hard on these bases, though. So he mines them out as quickly as possible before SortOf can possibly take them back. Army supply. SortOf's at 164. These players have had less and less workers as this game has gone on. FanTaSy is scanning for Days, Hellions, and Cyclones moving to the right. There's just a few Hydras and Banelings. The Banelings do not have centrifugal hooks, by the way.
That's interesting. We're 40 minutes into this game and no centrifugal hooks.
I guess he hasn't really had a need. There hasn't been too many Hellbats or anything. A Ghost attempting to nuke. That's not going to get off. That Ghost floats so... Oh my gosh.
I haven't seen this since Abyssal Reef. What the what?
What? That poor Ghost. He became like a string bean or whatever.
Turned into a vegetable. I like how FanTaSy gives us 3 of the fastest games you can ever have in StarCraft, and then immediately goes into a style that turns into the longest type of game you can ever get.
He's got good time management. He says, all right, I can play longer games in the second series if I make the first one go quick. We're finally seeing mules drop on this base, which I love.
Massive.
This is money being taken away from SortOf. I mean, FanTaSy, he has not been trading efficiently. I keep hammering this on, but he has lost 16,000 more resources than SortOf. But if you're mining from, say, like, if you mine even just one of SortOf's bases, that's like 16,000 resources. Because, yeah, how many resources is it on a base? Like, I don't know, it's something like 8,000 or whatever. Okay, so maybe 2, which he's doing, so... The real question is, will this game pass the hour mark?
I mean, I'm going to say yes, the way this is going.
A nuke drops.
Two spores dead. Oh!
Are the victim.
That Ghost survived just long enough to help that thing land. I've always kind of felt like if ghosts die and the nuke's in flight, then the nuke lands in a random spot.
Oh my god, just like they fly just like in a line across the map and wherever. That would make using ghosts so scary.
It's still up there. The nuke is still alive. Just because the ghost is dead doesn't mean the nuke is gone.
Away. FanTaSy is really committing here, though. He's had enough. But here comes in all the infestors. Lots of neurals going down.
Good EMP on about half of them. The fungals on the ghost, though, are huge.
So much EMP going down, but no snipes or anything. Oh, God, the ghosts.
And the chain from Lord. No, 2 ghosts survived the massacre.
FanTaSy
running for their lives.
Oh god, he lost about 15,000, or he lost about 5,000 resources in that fight.
Good golly. 118 to 86 army supply. SortOf is up.
SortOf has 5 drones and no income, but he's got all these broodlords. Although, he has no corruptors, or 5 corruptors. Get a few Vikings in there, FanTaSy, and you are golden. Okay, this is becoming rather concerning for FanTaSy, though. He's making Cyclones, which aren't going to counter the Broodlords. So it's going to be all on the Ghost to snipe off these Broodlords, and they may be able to get a few now. Cyclones are stepping forward. Ghost getting some snipes off. SortOf can't really afford to replace these.
All right, I'm liking this. I like the area of denial here on the Liberator. That is some major overkill on those Changelings.
This is why we see people play like Liberator Ghost. The Liberators lock down the area, and there's only 5 corruptors for SortOf. Man,
SortOf has 100 minerals in his bank right now.
Yeah.
He has nothing to work with. He's long distance mining from the left side.
With his 5 drones. I mean, he kept his economy going for so long under all this harassment, but now, I mean, that one base really was the straw that broke the camel's back. Liberator's getting set on up. Looks like SortOf gonna try and brave them. Fungal growth, parasitic bomb going down. That's going to work on him quickly, but some infestors are falling. Ghosts and Cyclones now step forward. The fungal growth. Oh my god, the Ghost being caught up once again, although all the EMP has been dropped, so there's no longer support.
The only thing that's helping FanTaSy here is that he's got additional income, and he's making stuff because he is getting rocked right now. All of his Liberators but 1 are gone. The Ghosts are low on energy, low on HP. The infestors are here. But I kind of feel like FanTaSy's got this just because he's continuing to make stuff.
Auto turrets going down should be able to pick off these Broodlords, I think. And once those are gone, there's really nothing for SortOf. Has FanTaSy done it?
I think he's trying to target fire the... Are the infestors out of energy right now? I don't know.
They got EMP'd.
Oh, they're getting blue.
Oh my god.
What?
That was a crazy game. GG. All right. That was the first game in our best of 7, ladies and gentlemen.
We thought this would be a fast cast today, but no. Not at this rate now. The ups and downs, the swings, man.
For all we know, we get 6 2-Raxes in a row, though.
That's true. Could change.
Second map's going to be Automaton.
Whew.
That was such a crazy game, though. GG. I mean, well played by both players, but
it was economy. It was economy from FanTaSy. He took more bases. He sniped more bases. He was able to keep having income when SortOf was dead broke. And even though it was a scary army pushing him there at the end, and even though SortOf won that game, it didn't matter. There was more stuff coming from FanTaSy, and he could eventually respond to it. That was amazing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, mad respect to SortOf for keeping his economy going for so long. Like, he was under fire that entire game. From like minute 10 to minute 40, it was hatcheries dying left and right, and yet his economy only really faltered completely at the end.
Yep.
So very well done by him in that regard.
Dang, FanTaSy everywhere. Really, we talked about this a few times, but taking advantage of the fact that the Broodlords are terrible at defending bases that are 4 miles apart. They're just too slow. They can't get there in time. You have to rely upon Hydras to respond, dealing with those Cyclones and those Blue Flame Hellions, and they're just not as good at it. Sure, they killed a bunch. Sure, Abduct was good there. But FanTaSy had money to spare, money to burn effectively, and he did. He burned it, but he had way more of it than SortOf did, and ended up winning the whole thing. Amazing.
Yeah, very well done. FanTaSy's method worked very well. Now, that was a long battle for one map, but spawning in the top right-hand side of the map, it's FanTaSy with the 1-0 lead.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner is the Blue Zerg player. It's SortOf, who worked his butt off for 45 minutes and came away with a loss.
Yeah, that's got to be a draining match. It was an interesting one, though, to learn from all the different sort of style that FanTaSy was playing.
Yeah, all the stuff he tried to do, but in the end, I think going Broodlords was probably a mistake.
I mean, you gotta have them though, otherwise you just die to tanks, right?
That's what your Blinding Cloud is for? I don't know.
But, like, I think Broodlords are fine. I think it was just that sort of, like, if we actually had a counter, I may be able to upload this replay to, like, SC2 replay stats or something, and it'll tell us how many buildings died. But it was a lot of buildings.
137, yeah.
A ton of hatcheries died that game. And, if, say, sort of maybe just tried expanding to the left instead of just throwing out like, I'm someone who loves throwing out hatcheries to try and cover your losses, but...
Sure.
Like, that was just excessive, because he knew he wasn't able to defend them, yet he kept throwing them out anyway. And that was sort of just like throwing cash down the drain, whereas if he tried to expand, say, to that center left base sooner, I don't know. Maybe it would have worked out better.
It's all theoretical, but makes sense. Just the number of hatcheries that died alone just makes you think something else is possible. All right, Reaper sneaking across the map, going to try to get something done in a game that has been played 100,000 million times in StarCraft 2. Usually it doesn't go that well for the Reaper, but not too shabby.
Wouldn't that be interesting if there was like a global stats count for StarCraft, like some games have, like 82 million Reapers died in 2018, something like that.
Seriously, I wish they'd do that. A lot of games do, and it's fun. Although, do you think they even track that?
I mean, it's there in the replays. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they could. But whether it's worth the effort.
Yeah. It'd be just more for fun. I don't think it would help generate any revenue for the company.
No, and that's why it's not going to happen. Now, double CC on the way for FanTaSy. So he is being a greedy boy, and I like it. Flying over his barracks too, so... He's got the one Marine. Maybe he's Overlord hunting or something?
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, usually Marines aren't good for much else at this stage of the game. For denying Overlord scouting is definitely something they can do. Dude, he lifted the barracks.
He did, yeah. It's looking... I think he was looking for an Overlord hanging out at that high ground. But now he's sending it back, and it's going to land.
It is FanTaSy. We can't do 4 or 5 or 6 40-minute games here, dude.
Yeah, that would be a late one. That would be a late one, that's for sure. I mean, these
for
things...
everyone involved. That's 2 factories, man. He's doing it.
Double factory mech. I don't think we'll see it be the same way, because, like, it's not like every game that a Terran makes a lot of Cyclones ends up being a 40-minute game.
True.
But, and there's not as many bases on this map, so it can't be. It can't be as long. But, no, it's interesting that FanTaSy went for that fast 3rd CC. Once again, those SortOf's Overlord scouts are on point. Look at this, FanTaSy's trying to float the command center away, and he actually is going to be able to. This is so smart of him.
Overlords are so slow.
And look at that. FanTaSy successfully hides the command center. So very well done in that regard. Now we're seeing double armory behind this. And then double tech lab. So, I mean, FanTaSy got a lot of upgrades, but this is like greedy play.
It really is, and SortOf, I don't think is in any position to punish it. I mean, that's what the battle cruisers were for early in the game, right? To deal with big roach attacks before he was ready for them. But I guess, I don't know, 3 roaches on the way here, Lair coming up 2 for roach speed. But I just feel like FanTaSy is going to get away with it. I don't see SortOf really being able to punish it, especially once the Cyclones come out with their Maglev upgrade and then roaches just melt. Maybe some Ravager play, but those are expensive and they're slower to get.
Yeah.
Difficult position.
Sorry, go on.
No, just it's a hard position to be in.
Yeah, the thing is, I think, off the back of the really strong economy of FanTaSy from the greed, like, he's going to be able to make a lot of Cyclones and trade out fine like he did in that past game. And that's where it's going to be concerning for SortOf. Lings are hanging out for SortOf, looking for a potential run by at some point. He's been very consistent trying to get those off.
Not so much in the last game.
No.
He got a couple, but he was just spending so much time putting out fires, like you said, that the Ling run-bys just weren't really possible, especially considering everything was a planetary fortress.
Yeah, exactly. Too. So it's just, right, the Lings aren't going to get too much done versus a planetary. You need a lot to kill one.
Yep. And incredible upgrades, too.
Yes, adrenal glands for sure. And +3 helps, but FanTaSy getting up to a 5 factory play. And just his economy, it's very good. Like, SortOf just getting up his his 4th base is going to be finishing up relatively soon, but FanTaSy's going to be a 5 factory Terran with 3 command centers, 60 FTVs, and roaches
this
are already
roach,
dying.
you can't go out there, man. You can't. You got to play. Oh, jeez.
Oh no,
hey,
not
4th base. How's it going?
The first of many.
Yeah, Maglev's done. This is going to die. There it is. It's gone. Canceled out. One final shot to snipe that drone down.
Oh, there's that Ling run by. A few Cyclones are in position to try and deal with this, but Lings do skirt on by. Oh, Queens! Oh no!
What are you doing out here?
That must have been a bad misclick. Ah, that's painful for SortOf. That is very painful. Like, I think the Queens must have been out here or something, then he clicked, say, over here. And then they decided just to run across, so that really hurts. That is very, very painful. How many Queens died there? 3 Queens. Those were his creep Queens, too. Oh, man, that really hurts. Now, FanTaSy is coming on in once again. Gonna be crossing the map with a ton of Hellions, a ton of Cyclones. Cyclones lock on, army retreats, units die, rinse and repeat. FanTaSy really liking this style, it seems. Cyclones are even better in smaller numbers. FanTaSy trying to get that hatchery, but not able to. But now, of course, these units can be caught. However, not paying attention for a second, going to lose a fair few of those units there, but then, of course, he just gets away, and it costs SortOf as well.
SortOf did get some roaches up here, but once again, a couple Cyclones can do really well against that.
Catch the Cyclones, which is nice, but it does get away. And I mean, Cyclones, they're pretty expensive units, but not that expensive, so you gotta kill off a fair few of them to get your value, and this looks like SortOf just overextending. He's gonna be losing a lot to these. A lot of the Hellions are dying, but they're doing their job being the buffer. Cyclones really are like Phoenix in the sense that any unit that tries to retreat from them is going to get punished for doing so. SortOf, though, planning another counterattack, but the scouting flagship barracks of mech is going to be able to identify that.
Hey, look, another hatch getting attacked down there at the south.
Oh, and it does go down.
Oh my gosh.
FanTaSy finishes it off. Here come those roaches.
Not much to defend this. Although, it doesn't take many Cyclones to chase roaches away. Man alive. So frustrating to play against here.
Although, SortOf coming in as he pulled FanTaSy out of position. 2 building command centers could be going down. This would be absolutely huge. Nice pick off there for SortOf. FanTaSy gets the cancels, but I mean, we're 10 minutes into the game and he still only has 3 CCs. Builds 2 more in his main. The main thing is that I think that's really good for FanTaSy is that he's heading into his 3-3. He's already got his 2-2 versus just the +2 of SortOf. So his units are even going to be pretty tanky, put out a lot of damage. There goes that hatchery. FanTaSy wants to pick off another. Roaches and Hydra stepping forward to try and prevent that, but there goes that round of units. Lots of abducts going down, picking off a good number of Cyclones. FanTaSy taking a beating from those Vipers.
This is feeling more and more like we're just going to see this go on as long as FanTaSy can make it work. And maybe even beyond.
I mean, the thing is, he can't really kill the Zerg.
Right, but he doesn't want to. He just wants to snipe off bases, bounce back and forth, while expanding 100 times himself. Look at this, double expanding again, taking down this debris. Dies real fast, the Cyclone. So we can gold take from that.
Also this hatchery.
Man, if you're out of position by like 4 inches, you're going to lose your base. Look at that.
Here's a nice counterattack though, but Cyclone's in position to defend.
Yep, a couple SCVs die, but that's totally fine in exchange for about 10 roaches.
Oh, FanTaSy actually pursuing, or sort of actually pursuing, so able to save those roaches. Or at least some of them. And now here comes down all the army of FanTaSy, and this is a lot of Terran Cyclone. There's 20 Cyclones, 23 Hellions to protect them on the map. And soon enough, they're going to have 3-3. Making it a 3 upgrade advantage for the Terran player, since SortOf does not have any of that armor. Roaches counterattacking, going to be shut down hard. And FanTaSy found another hatchery to kill.
Hey, look. Will it be canceled? Yes or no? Nope. Not this time.
This is just... FanTaSy's maxed out. He's going to start building up that bank. He can invest in more CCs. But still, killing off the Zerg player is the challenge.
Yeah, he can't just stand in there and fight, is the problem.
No, he's just trying to nickel and dime SortOf to death. And I mean, it worked in the last game.
It's working pretty well here, too. SortOf is incapable of getting up a 5th base.
Or Overlord goes down. SortOf supply blocked at 198.
Yeah, I guess that's his 5th right there, right? That's his 5th.
That's center one.
Okay.
He has managed to get that one up. And he's trying to... He keeps throwing down these expansions. Like, SortOf is a determined guy. He's the little engine that could. He'll keep throwing up those hatcheries. That Viper goes down. Ducks the Cyclone. Now here comes in all the Terran army chasing this Zerg, which was split up trying to cover multiple angles. But now SortOf, or FanTaSy, maybe thinking, okay, now I can take this fight. This is going tremendous for him. There is so much Terran here, and the Zerg is down on supply by half.
He cut it in half, took down half of the army. Now he's going to get the other half.
GG.
Blinding Clouds are not going to work out.
Oh my god.
FanTaSy up 2-0 in this best of 7. Wow, much shorter game, but basically the same idea. Only this time he was able to catch out half of SortOf's army in the middle of the map, burn it down, and then the other half doesn't stand a chance. Wow, what a display. What a display from FanTaSy making that happen.
I did not expect this out of FanTaSy. I was watching his stream last night before I fell asleep.
Yeah.
And I didn't see any of this. So I am pleasantly surprised to see him bringing out this new style. It's not really new, but it's working though.
It is 100%, no question. Working. 320 viewers at this point. It's a pretty good number. Really went up in that last game.
Yeah, that 40-minute one. People tend to enjoy watching those 40-minute long games.
Yeah, the longer matches. I don't know what it is, but it definitely gets people's attention.
That's why sickos like me enjoyed Heart of the Swarm.
For those 3-hour-long Swarm Host mech battles.
The Zerg versus Zerg, when it was Swarm Host versus Swarm Host, I didn't care for. But when it was like a TvZ or something,
no, I
enjoyed watching that. And then you tune into this Twitch stream, you'd be like, why does this stream have 3,000 viewers casting a $50 cup? And it's like, oh, that's why.
People love late game, that's why.
Anyway, we're loading into Blue Shift, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Yeah, happy to have everybody here. We're reading chat, so if you want to say hi, we'll probably catch it and say hello back if that's something you're into.
Anyway, the Terran player spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map got himself a 2-0 lead. And now wanting to extend that quickly. It's FanTaSy.
And spawning in the bottom left, the Blue Zerg player. Down 2-0, back against the wall, it is SortOf.
It's a best of 7, so he can drop one more map without being out for the count. And his Overlord's moving to the right. I mean, on that Cerulean Fall game, that first one, he scouted very meticulously with his Overlord, but he's going to miss these SCVs. unfortunately for him. And the other Overlord is heading north, so... This 2-rack's going to be catching this poor Zerg player off guard.
Yes. Alright, poor Zerg player, do this thing.
How long has FanTaSy been 2-racksing? A long time.
Like, in his life?
Yeah, because...
Many years.
Because back in Brood War it was a thing too. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh yeah, no, it's always been viable. I can't think of an expansion where it just wasn't possible. It didn't make any sense.
Already a gas on the way for FanTaSy, interestingly enough.
Alright, here come the SCVs. Their job is now to build some bunkers, keep each other company, while waiting for the Marines to come out and then go. Once again, Slow Overlords did not catch any sight of this. No sight of it, period.
Yeah, sort of going to be completely caught off guard. 2 drones on the low ground can maybe start working away on this, but look at this. Oh my god, this positioning.
Yeah, that's going to hit that hatchery for sure. Spine Crawler's on the way. That's what you got to do. Immediate spine. Oh, that too. Yes, very good. Very hard to kill the Marine.
The Marine can't be killed unless a Queen comes from the high ground or something. But look at this Marine. This is so smart from FanTaSy. How many 2-racks have we seen on this map? Yet I have never seen this before.
That's amazing, dude. The bunker's gonna finish.
The SCV on the right side too. Oh my god, this is actually so smart from FanTaSy.
And the repair can't be bothered. That said, if you have enough DPS,
yeah, he is able to break through this. The Marine makes a run for it. The other bunker didn't quite get up. It may be able to be finished though if that SCV gets up there and puts the wrapping paper on.
Gets it.
Able to do that. The Marines get in, although with the Spine Crawler right in the face of that bunker, who knows what it'll be able to get done. Meanwhile, a factory going up on the other side of the map. A few SCVs are crossing the map, but maybe SortOf didn't take this serious enough because FanTaSy is still producing Marines. The Lings that have crossed the map can definitely be a pain if that SCV wanders to the wrong side. Few Lings run out, they get picked off. That's not something SortOf can really afford to lose.
No, never getting through that wall either. Not with the SCV repairing it. And the factory is going to make, I don't know, probably a Hellion help deal with that.
Yeah, most likely if I had to guess, and you are right. Now, here comes FanTaSy. He's still been producing Marines, but SortOf thought this was over, and now suddenly there's a lot of Marines working away on this Spine Crawler, but the Spine still does a lot of damage to Marines, so a fair few of them have gone down, but there's literally no Lings or anything, so drones have to be pulled. The only Lings are on the other side of the map, so SortOf going to be losing at least a few more units. Queen also under fire. FanTaSy just kiting expertly versus these drones, getting 5 more Marines rallying forward. And is the Hellion going to cross the map to help out with this too?
He needs to get here soon, because that's a lot of Zergling. Not Marines are actually not that great against. There we go. Against
the
Zerglings.
Hellion actually going back.
Alright, so SortOf holds on. Shuts it down pretty well.
Yeah, that was interesting. How FanTaSy kept that going just to get 5 extra drones. Obviously delayed his command center a bit. The Hellion finds the slow Lings, though. Queen's going to be brought out to have to deal with that. And Armory is on the way for FanTaSy. This is a follow-up we sometimes see to this build. Hellbats with Medivac support.
Yeah, Hellbats are really hard to deal with if you don't have the right answer for it. Bunch of Roaches, really good there. Bunch of Banelings, good there too. But they will kill an infinite number of Zerglings. So you really got to be careful with it. Queens can also help fairly immensely.
Yeah,
I do like the
is
scouting.
Only just the 2 Queens. Soon to be 1 more, most likely for that 3rd base that's on the way. So not a high number of Queens. The Viking cleaning out the Overlord, so no scouting on this. And yeah, there's no Roachborn, or SortOf starts a lair, which is not going to help him defend versus Hellbats, and even a Liberator that's going to be harassing later on. And here comes Hellbats.
No, they're so scary. The Queen's running. Ah!
No spine crawlers either or anything like that. This is looking pretty darn tough for SortOf. The Hellbat steps forward, but the Lings need a perfect surround or something to deal with the Hellbats. It just doesn't ever really happen. The Medivac being kited back to try and stay alive. The Queens have to wander forward to try and pick it off. It gets a bit more healing off. It does eventually go down, but the Hellbats are on the drones and everything. The Hellbats are split up, so the Lings can sort of divide and conquer, but drones are falling near.
Yep, some Zerglings trickling in, trying to do this thing. The drone split is amazing by SortOf, actually. And you know what? Speedlings are going to clean this thing up, and really, was that really just 3? Well, I guess 14 workers killed. 14 overall, including that earlier harassment, but yeah, just 3 during that attack.
That's really impressive. Planned Ling counterattack going across the map. FanTaSy has 4 Hellions, but that is a lot of Lings. If they can catch these Hellions, that would be very nice, but these Lings heading towards the natural base, so SCVs will be in trouble. The Hellions coming in to try and deal with them. The Hellions may be getting surrounded, though. The Lings are pursuing. All the while, the Liberator's harassing in the main base, but a Spore Crawler in position.
Yeah, I mean, Ling's getting roasted here, picking off Hellions too a little bit, but great control there by FanTaSy. Keeping his Hellions alive. Good golly, that was impressive.
It was only 2 Hellions for, there was like 19 Lings there or something.
Oh, jeez. Brutal, brutal stuff. All right, so Glial Reconstitution coming in, SortOf does have his 3rd base up and running. FanTaSy getting those tanks, getting those Hellions, and not really going for the Cyclones this time around. Tank production seems to be the order of the day.
I can be down for a tank Hellbat push. However, Magfield Accelerator on the way, so it will be Cyclones on the way here for the Terran player. The 3rd base is also finishing up for FanTaSy, whereas SortOf, when you're equal on workers with, if you're a Zerg player, you do not want to be generally equal on workers with a Terran.
No. Or a Protoss.
Yeah, or a Protoss, just in general, because Zerg usually is getting harassed in some form, and also just you need it for your production and everything, so being equal on bases, equal on workers, is really tells us the position that that SortOf is in.
All right, SortOf, you've had a couple games to practice against this whole Cyclone style. Cyclone Hellion style. What's your answer going to be, or do you just not have one? Because that would be unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm not sure, like, because SortOf's behind, there's no doubt about that. But, and then the question is, what's the best thing to do when you're behind versus this style? Like, I mean, the Vipers have had success, there's no doubt about that. But then, of course, if you don't have enough units, you'll just be picked apart.
He's going for a pretty darn quick infestation pit. In fact, it's done at this point. So that's part of it. I guess when you try to chain fungal down the Cyclones, hold them in place maybe so the Roaches can actually get up there and get some shots off.
Oh, those poor Roaches.
Because now they sure can't. Man. I almost wonder if it's worth it to get a, maybe a range buff to Roach attacks a little bit. I mean, it's 4, isn't it? It's not very good.
Yeah. I don't know. When we see someone win the GSL with this,
yeah, exactly,
then we'll start talking about it. But
maybe we'll be concerned.
FanTaSy clearing up the creep. SortOf going to start respreading that to the best of his ability. Hive gets scanned for FanTaSy, so he's aware that some higher tech is on the way, whether it be Broodlords or something. Blue Shift is a smaller map, so that means Broodlords can be a little bit better, because say the Zerg's 3rd to your 3rd, it's not that far for Broodlords to push. And so, maybe they will be a little bit better on this map, but for now, FanTaSy's still going to be doing that annoying poking and prodding for SortOf. That poor Queen going to get picked off.
Roach getting sniped in the center of all those other Roaches. Why me? Why attack me? Just unlucky, dude. Unlucky Roach, for sure. Yep, Vipers, 3 at a time being made by SortOf right now. So more Blinding Cloud. The Blinding Cloud he tried more in the last game. Abduct more in the first game. I kind of feel like maybe the Abduct was more effective.
Yeah, because
I mean, I didn't didn't really see FanTaSy dodging the blinding clouds at all. He just didn't care, and it was fine.
Yeah, because the Cyclones, they don't stay put anyway, so...
Yeah, exactly. They're fast enough to just keep moving.
Yeah, I think Blinding Cloud is very good. Or, well, Abduct, pardon me, is very good for the Zerg player to deal with the Cyclones, because, say... I mean, if you think about it, a Viper, say that has 150 energy, that's 2 Abducts, that's 2 dead Cyclones, and that pays for the Viper. So... I mean, it can be efficient, but oh no, this squad of Roaches and Hydras are going to be in trouble. Attacking the rocks, the Cyclones get the jump on them. That's going to be a lot of dead units.
Man, Creep Tumor's getting burned down here too, and just FanTaSy's control here. Like, he never dives in when he doesn't want to. He doesn't stay longer than he can safely. And this multi-pronged harass, he's up there at the 3rd base too, causing problems. There's more abducts, abduct. Sniped down, another one getting sniped down there too. So resources lost at this point, 6,000 for SortOf, 4,900 for FanTaSy. Really not that different.
No, it's not. It's looking pretty similar to the last game.
It's just, can it come down to FanTaSy finding half of SortOf's army kind of hanging out?
Yeah,
dive on it and stomp it.
That was really what did him in. Because, I mean, 200 of this is not the best, or not the most efficient composition that a Terran can have. But, oh no, more Roaches and Hydras being found.
The Roach Hydra! Get out of there! Get on, Creep, run for your lives. Alright, not as bad, but still, 3 units effectively.
Lots of Creep getting cleaned up as well.
Yeah, actually, Zerglings, 20 lings on the way. I wonder if SortOf's going to try some more of this counterattack stuff.
Yeah, maybe, but...
Planetary Fortress. Like, I just don't... That 3rd isn't, though. Maybe the 3rd is the one you want to try to go for.
Yeah, there's a wall and a tank there, though, so that's always tough.
Maybe the wall will be down.
Counterattacks, but they just seem to get cleaned up and then just shut down hard. And the Roaches really pay the price for it.
Oh, huge attack down there at 6 o'clock position. Another base going down.
Some Cyclones are getting abducted, though, so wasn't for free for FanTaSy, but still. Oh, look at this base once again. Is he going to go back in for it?
He could. He's too busy worrying about getting the other one.
Oh my gosh.
And now he's going to get the right side one, now that he has some APM available.
If he's not getting one, he's getting the other.
Oh, this is so sad.
And here he goes on in again. The units are out of position. Well, not quite. Okay, they do defend the hatchery this time around, but of course, the way that Zerg units tend to defend Cyclones is by being the ones who take one for the team and get locked onto.
Sacrifice.
2 Vipers
we're getting
go
a
down.
Viper. That was really good. Oh, here it comes.
Yeah, there's actually not many Cyclones over here. There's literally 1 and a ton of Hellions.
Now there are no Cyclones here, just Hellions defending Planetary Fortress, getting blinding clouded.
Command Center gets cancelled. Meanwhile, another base, a potential 5th base for FanTaSy, looks like it'll be getting shut down. However, FanTaSy does arrive most likely in time, it looks like.
Overseer getting picked off, that's a pretty big deal. Hydra count getting thinned here. Every retreat is just a massacre for the Zerg.
It is, yeah. Meanwhile, on this front, it looks like that the Hellions may actually be able to clean everything up. Viper support or no. GG.
Oh. 183 to 129 supply at the end of that game. Oh, so brutal.
FanTaSy.
He's making this work.
Like,
that's the...
How many Zergs does he have to beat before we believe that this is a legitimate style?
I mean, probably more than SortOf.
Yeah. But still, like, that's impressive that someone as good as SortOf is just being pulled apart by this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I wonder, is it an answer maybe a surround with Lings and then you crush into them with Banelings?
Yeah, there's Hellions,
Get rid of the army that way. Yeah, I know, but if you hold them in place and have enough Banelings on a bit of a surround where they can't kite it, Banelings die or Hellions die real fast to Banelings.
That's true, and even the Cyclones are pretty weak, so...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe catch him in the middle, surround him, hold him in place. You're going to lose a lot of lings. I'm not arguing. Definitely going to lose a ton of Zerglings, but if you can wipe out the army and then have a Roach Hydra just waiting to go on the counterattack, you might be able to get something done. Just theory crafting, though. I know I have ideas,
Yeah.
and I don't know how super viable they are, but... Oof.
I never thought about how Zergs have to deal with this style, because I honestly just wrote it off as a bad style, but it seems to be working. Maybe FanTaSy just found the correct way to do it.
Right. You don't engage, you just pick apart, pick apart, pick apart, try to find smaller groups of units, wipe those out, keep your opponent starving to death, and you'll win eventually. Seems to be what he's doing, and it's working so far. Yeah, I'd love to see what Cyril does against this.
That is the question.
That is the
Not that
million-dollar
Cyril ever
question.
meets Terrans in WCS, so well, we may never
so,
know.
It's so true. I don't know how that happened at BlizzCon, but that was the weirdest, one of the weirdest
subplots. Meet a
subplots.
Terran?
I don't think he did.
Yeah,
I mean, not
like
in the
Protoss,
rounds.
Protoss,
like,
wasn't it?
yeah, group stages. Yeah.
We can think about that in a second. Spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map. It's FanTaSy with this sort of interesting style, showing us that Hellion Cyclones may be viable.
Maybe, maybe, maybe. And then the bottom right, it's going to be the Blue Zerg player, SortOf.
Yeah, who did Cyril beat in the group stage? He was in a group with Zest, Hero Marine, wasn't it? Or maybe not Hero Marine.
I'll look it up real quick.
He was in with two Protoss. I think one was Zest and the other maybe... I wouldn't know. I'm drawing a blank.
That's fine. Liquidpedia is here to help all of us. All right, so here are the groups. Sarah was in with SOS, Zest, and Hero Marine.
Ah, okay.
And he did 2-0 Hero Marine.
And
then from
SOS,
there it was he 2-0'd SOS as well. Oh, twice. Yeah. Yep. He didn't lose a match to a single game to SOS. And then yeah, he played a ZVZ and a ZVZ and a ZVP. Quarterfinal, semifinal,
we
final.
We still don't
no Terrans.
know if he can beat a Korean Terran.
We don't.
Just wait till he goes to Korea. We'll see. Like, I mean, I'm not a doubter or anything. Like, I fully believe he has the stuff to do it. It's just we still haven't been able to see it.
Well, and he should have played against Maru. We were robbed.
I know. Maru just had to try and proxy SOS, his teammate, 3 times in a row.
Which, sure, man.
It's like, sure.
You do you, I guess. Jeez. All right, enough grumbling about BlizzCon. It's over. It's done. All right, SortOf. This is not unstoppable. I refuse to believe it's unbeatable. But it's looking pretty strong so far.
It is.
I mean, it's entirely possible FanTaSy just goes for something else entirely here, which, I don't know.
I think a BC rush is in the realm of possibility. He's got the gas for a starport.
And he did it in game 1.
Yeah, on a map similar to this one. Cerulean Fall, not too different from this. But we see a 3rd CC on the way already. That's the worst part for SortOf, I think. If he just had to say, all right, I gotta beat Hellion Cyclone, he'd probably come up with a proper answer, a proper build or something, but he's got to think about all the other things that FanTaSy can throw at him before he actually hits to that Hellion Cyclone. Because keep in mind that game on Blue Shift started with a proxy 2 racks. But there we go. Double factory on the way.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Did the same thing to to 3-0 Bunny. He's going to go to the same thing to 3-0 SortOf and maybe get the 4-0.
Ooh, looks like this Marine may actually catch an Overlord. That would be a big deal. SortOf has plenty of Overlords to spare, but we're only 5 minutes into the game, so losing an Overlord for free like that, not something you want to happen.
No, that hurts, without question.
Meanwhile, Hellions driving on in for FanTaSy. Maybe you're looking to go for a run by, and these drones for SortOf have no choice but to run. Good save.
Ooh. He builds on the frying corpse of one of his buddies. Sorry, man.
StarCraft's a little morbid at times.
It certainly is.
Oh! SortOf's going for it. He's had enough.
Oh, okay. I'm liking it. I like what I see here. Drop Lord action is one of my favorite things. I really am sad. I mean, effectively, Blizzard was like, hey guys, we're going to give you Dropper Lords easier to get. And collectively, Zerg was like, I think we're good. Bothers me.
Yeah, yeah, it is a lot better compared to just the upgrade that they had in the past. Now, FanTaSy, he does have 2 tanks, though. And he knows that this is coming. That's the main thing. Now, the Queens either have to try and unload on top of the tanks, but there's tons of Hellions, so I'm not sure if he'll be able to easily break this. The Ravagers are going to want to Crucible this down, but the tanks are going to be able to get off so many shots, and I'm not sure SortOf has the stuff to try and break this. Tank on the high ground getting shots up. Queen's going to be able to transfuse, but they themselves are not going to be able to pick off the siege tank, so they're sort of just dropped into despair. And the Roaches are trying to break through here, but the tanks on the high ground.
2 tanks. 3 tanks on the high ground laughing.
And the one being repaired as well to get extra shots off. The Hellions also not doing bad, getting a lot of shots off, even helping fry some of the Ravagers. And I think this attack is just not going to work for SortOf.
He's trying to drop on... Oh, no, the Queen dropped on the low ground. He's trying to make this thing happen, but nah. Absolutely not. Is there more units coming in? More Lings coming in, and that's it. That's it.
Okay.
Wow. Sweep, sweep, sweep for Afreeca World 29. Didn't see that coming.
No. FanTaSy 3-0 Bunny, and then 4-0 SortOf.
That makes you a force to be reckoned with, man.
It does. We're glad to have him back. But no, that was very impressive by FanTaSy. But SortOf kind of ran out of patience at the end. From the looks of it.
That was definitely I hate everything about life right now.
And I mean, it probably has been a long day, but I mean, both these guys were playing in the IEM qualifiers, so.
Right.
So they woke up early to do that, and then. Anyway, no. Thanks so much to everyone for tuning in. It was great to see so many of you guys watching the games, even though that some of the series were rather one-sided. Well, every series was rather one-sided. We still had some great games in there.
Yeah, for sure. That's Mech versus Zerg. I mean, how much more can you ask for than that? That was beautiful. That was a lot of great stuff. So yeah, thanks for everybody for hanging out. Really love casting for Afreeca. Happy to see you all here. And I guess until next time, give it a couple weeks.
Indeed, yeah. We're usually every 2 weeks unless there's some major scheduling thing that we have to work around. But no, yeah. Thanks so much to everyone for tuning in. We'll make sure to see you guys next time. And where can they find you, Falcon?
YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all /Falcon Paladin. Pretty easy to find.
Same goes for me. Pretty much everywhere. Just at LaughNgamez. Check us out on Twitter. We tweet out about the events and everything. But yes, thanks so much for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.